10-Minute Jazz Lesson Podcast, episode 182. Hey everybody, welcome back to episode 182 of the 10-Minute Jazz Lesson Podcast. Hope you're all doing well out there. Thank you so much for tuning in for this short and concise jazz lesson that we bring to you each and every Friday. Very excited to bring this week's episode to you, and this week is going to start a month-long theme. We're going to kind of concentrate on some similar things all month and hopefully give you a sort of themed set of episodes that are going to help you with something really specific. And that's going to be playing a little bit more traditional stuff and what to do when your go-to devices just don't sound good over a particular tune that you're playing or in a particular setting that you're playing. But before we jump into this week's episode, let's get a little bit of housekeeping done. Just wanted to let you know, if you're new to the show or old to the show, that you can get a PDF worksheet that goes along with every single episode that we've ever done by going over to our Patreon page. Now, you can find that by going to our website, 10minutejazzlesson.com, clicking on one of the Patreon banners, and that will bring you over. Patreon is an awesome platform that allows listeners to support their favorite creators directly, and you could do so for our show in the form of a $3 donation every month, and that will get you a ton of extras, including all the PDFs to every episode. Now, we've got some brand new members this week. We got a bunch of people that have signed up, so I've got to thank them. Thank you to Alex, John, Patrick, Barb, and Steven. Thank you guys so much for joining up and becoming a part of the 10-Minute Jazz Lesson family. And we hope that those $3 donations pay for themselves many times over. So if you are interested in joining up, 10minutejazzlesson.com, click on one of the Patreon banners. That will bring you over. Sign up, and you get instant access to all the PDFs, all 182 PDFs that we've ever done. All right, let's dive into today's episode. So today's topic is playing over chords that don't have sevenths in them. So if you've ever been playing a tune and you see a chord symbol, which is just plainly the key. So let's say that you just see C written on a lead sheet. No 7, no 6, no nothing like that. A lot of us have a lot of trouble figuring out what to play because we're so used to using seventh chords, and we do that so much in more modern forms of jazz like bebop and the music that came after it, that we're really not sure what to do when we see something without a seventh. And this is definitely an issue that I have faced in the past. Honestly, had no idea what to do. Now, it's a simpler chord, right? But sometimes, since we talk about such complicated things in jazz, simple is pretty perplexing. So I wanted to try to clarify a little bit what to do when you're faced with these chords. Now, we did a little bit on this in episode 112. If you want to dig back through, it's called Traditional versus Modern. And what I find is that a lot more of the traditional tunes in the canon have these chords that don't have sevenths on them. And we have to have the flexibility as musicians to be able to play over these types of chords, as well as the seventh chords and the more complicated chords that we see in other tunes. So let's start talking about what we can do over these simplified chords. So we want to take the emphasis off of the seventh. The seventh honestly does not sound very good over like a C triad or any kind of triad. It's really going to clash with what the rhythm section should be playing over a chord like this. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the emphasis off of the seventh and place it on the sixth. And there's a device that we can use that really highlights the sixth. And this is going to be the basis for our playing over all of these types of chords. Now, let me explain a little bit. You can use this over a pure triad as well as a sixth chord. these devices that I'm going to show you work really, really well over 6 chords as well, where the 7th is not going to work as well. So the device that we want to use that highlights the 6th is going to be the major pentatonic. So the major pentatonic is 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. Check out what it sounds like. This is a major pentatonic scale over a regular triad. And I'm going to do it in the key of B flat since that's what the worksheet will be this week. Now, this is one of the most commonly used scales in all of music, not just jazz. So this would be a really good thing for you to get a handle on in terms of being able to hear this. Let me play it again. Now, you can get a lot of mileage just out of that scale, because let's think about what that scale is. It's the triad with the 6th and the 2. So a passing tone between the root and the 3rd, and then the rest of it is really just a triad with that 6 on there. So it's perfect to use, especially over those 6 chords, those major 6 chords. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about how we can optionally use the flat 3rd as well. So we're just taking a major pentatonic 5-note scale and we're putting a 6th note in there, and that 6th note is going to be the flat 3 as well as the major 3rd. So here's what this scale sounds like over a major triad. One more time. Now, the reason that we can use that flat 3rd, even though it doesn't, traditionally fit over a major chord, is that most jazz tunes, especially these older jazz tunes that use these 6 chords and these triads, they are really built off of and have some element of the blues in them. So we all know that the flat 3rd is called the blue note because it has that element of the blues in it, gives us a little bit of tension that we can use, and connotates the blues, which you'd be surprised it works in probably 90% of situations where you see a major triad or a 6 chord and there's a swing feel, because I think that swing feel also connotates a little bit of the blues feeling. So this is the scale that we're going to work off of, and I've got this first on the PDF. Now what we're going to do is we're going to investigate a phrase using the major pentatonic over that triad, and we're going to do it in 3 different ways. The first way is going to be using just straight up and down the major pentatonic scale. The second way is going to be incorporating that minor 3rd in place of the major 3rd. And then the third example is going to be using both the minor 3rd and the major 3rd, so you can see how when used in tandem, they sound really, really good together. So let's start with the first phrase. I've just written this typical phrase that I might play over one of these chords, and we're going to use this as our base of operations. So this is what this first phrase sounds like. Here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Let me play that for you again. 1, 2, 3. So it's a nice swinging phrase. It uses just that major pentatonic, and you could hear how rich that major pentatonic sounds and how swinging it can be. And if you're somebody that's never used this device, it's a really, really important thing to discover. Now that is the first example on your PDF, the second line down. Now what we're going to do is, if you look at your PDF over the second measure of the example, we had a major 3rd. Now what we're simply going to do is we're going to replace that major 3rd with the minor 3rd. And I'm still playing a major chord underneath this, but check out how appropriate the minor 3rd sounds, even though it's a major chord. Here's the next example on your PDF. 1, 2, 3. Check that out again. 1, 2, 3. So I think that'll surprise a lot of you over a major chord, how good that minor third sounds when it's not a dominant chord, right? Now what I'm going to do in the third example is over that beat 3 where I previously used the major third and then the minor third, I'm actually going to incorporate both into this. And check out how good it sounds to go from the minor third directly to the major third, and what a great sort of chromatic / bluesy sound that we get out of this. This is your last example on your PDF this week. 1, 2, 3. Check that one out again. 1, 2, 3. And you could hear this has a much more traditional sound to it than if I were using that major seventh. That's really a sound that came along after, in the 50s. Like Charlie Parker started playing that sound and then everybody kind of adopted it. And that's kind of the standard now. But you have to know how to play this stuff. Even if your goal is to only play the most ultra modern music, you have to know how this more basic harmony works and how to get a good sound out of it. If you want to be a flexible musician and somebody happens to call one of these older tunes, you have to know how to handle yourself. So I want you to check out the progression of these 3 exercises as they go down the page and really spend some time with them and analyze how the sound changes when we incorporate major third, then we incorporate minor third, and then we incorporate both the major third and the minor third. And I want you to really think about major pentatonics this week as a device that we can use. Now, this is all leading somewhere. This is going to culminate with the tune of the month being this great, great old tune called Last Night on the Back Porch. And this is going to incorporate a bunch of these concepts that we're going to talk about in the 3 episodes leading up to the tune of the month exercise. So if you want to check out that tune, you can find it. Go on Google and type in C-Jam Real Book. And it will bring you to this great website where there's a bunch of the old New Orleans standards. And you can find this chart there, Last Night on the Back Porch. You could start taking a peek at it. The first 2 measures are actually just a regular triad or a regular 6 chord. And you could start using some of these exercises that I've given you on this first episode of the month to start to get this sound going. All right. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm really excited to bring you these next bunch of episodes that are based around this. This has become a real passion of mine. While I still consider myself a modern jazz player, and that's the bulk of my studying, I really have gotten into these more old school devices because they really were what modern jazz was built on. And I feel like my playing and my knowledge is all the richer for knowing some of these devices that I'm going to share with you this month. So drop me any questions you might have in the 10-Minute Jazz Lesson Community Facebook group. I will get back to you there. And start working on some major pentatonic stuff, incorporating that minor third. Okay? Hope you have a great weekend. We'll see you next week with some brand new episodes, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.